Hi all, welcome back to the final whistle then. It's match preview night then. The big game at Elland Road, a huge game as Leeds versus Leicester City, the top of the table clashed in. And what a game we have got on our hands on Friday night football. Two sides to have an eye on a place back in the Premier League. This one should be a cracker. I think if you're a neutral, I think this will be a game full of goals, to be honest. I'm going to join by Scott. He's going to run me through the opposition, Leeds United, what to expect from Daniel Farke's men on Friday night. We're going to look back on Leeds' season since last playing Leicester. We're going to talk about Leicester as well. We're going to get down to all the nitty-gritty, the team selection, score prediction, foot in both camps. Last time we played each other. And yeah, we're going to get to know the opposition, of course. But guys, as always, remember to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed, please do so. Let's have a look who's in then. David, my mate, how are you? I'll be watching the game in the pub tomorrow with my son-in-law and his dad. Both Leeds fans. Bloody hell, David. I bet that's going to be a bit of tension between them, knowing you're a Leicester fan. It's been torture with them since losing at the KP. Evening, Eddie, how are you? Evening, Jack. Hope you're well. Yeah, I'm all right, thank you. Hey up, Scott. Right, I'm going to get my guest in. Scott, who is a Leeds United fan. How are you, my friend?
Evening, guys. Evening, Jack. Yeah, I'm really well, mate. Yeah, looking forward to this game. As I said backstage with you there, it's a big one. It's one of those games that you get in the season that you sort of look forward to all week, and it's sort of got a bit more on it as well, which gives it that bit of extra spice. Under the lights on Sky Friday night, two of the best teams in the league going at it. You know, it should be a cracking game. Like I say, for the neutral, it's going to be a great game. Might be a bit more nerve-wracking for us that are involved in it, but yeah, it's got potential for a cracker, and it could be goals as well.
Jack said earlier he looked like Harry Weeks. I mean, yeah, I don't know if anyone sees the resemblance, but yeah, Haley dobbing in it again as always. Not surprised by that, but Scott, talk to me about the opposition and Leeds United. You're a Leeds United fan. Where did it come about supporting Leeds, and who's your all-time favourite player?
Well, supporting Leeds, it sort of comes from my dad. My dad was a Leeds fan. Doncaster, as you know, it's quite a stronghold for Leeds as well. There's loads of Leeds support in Doncaster's really strong as an area. So it's just sort of one of those things. It's one of the big supported teams. So started following Leeds since probably about 94. I seen them on TV. First got Sky. We were playing Man United. I didn't realise they were our rivals at the time, but we beat them 2-1. And then I started following the games on radio. Tony Yeboah came on the scene, that sort of era, and then into the O'Leary era, which was a lot of fun. All-time favourite player. Oh gosh, there's been a few over the years. I was a keeper when I was younger, so I really loved Nigel Martin.
Yeah,
I was a big fan of Big Nige. Lee Bowyer, when I was growing up, for his on-the-field things, obviously. He was fantastic for a period of time in midfield, and he was probably unlucky not to get more England caps. And then we had players at the time like Big Mark Viduka, you know, great touch for a big man and all that. He had the skills, he could put the ball in and that. And yeah, you know, we've had some great players over the years. Into League One years, you had like Jermaine Beckford. He were a fan's favourite at that time. And then into the current squad, there's a lot of likeable players that we've got in there now that have made a good connection with the supporters. Jorginho Ruta, he's great. he's great fun. He seems like a really good lad. And the squad now, compared to what we had last season when we went down, it's a completely different atmosphere. You know, the fans have got that connection, which it does help when you're winning, I think, to build that, doesn't it, with your team. But yeah, they seem like a really, really good group of players. So yeah, happy days.
Yeah. Leeds are always that passionate fan base, aren't they? You know what you get from Leeds, home and away. You know, they'll make the atmosphere and try and make it uncomfortable for the opposition, whoever visits Elland Road. You know, they're always loud and in their numbers, which is credit to passionate supporters. You know, I think Newcastle are the same, aren't they? They're a passionate bunch who love their football like Leeds do. Talk to me about the season. I mean, Daniel Farke, obviously new manager and all that. 2 promotions with Norwich City. So he's got that under his belt. Came into a Leeds side who got rid of quite a few players out on loan, didn't they, at the start of the season and that. Then you brought new players in like Pirro and Ethan Ampadu and Joe Rodon and that. What has been your thoughts on the season so far, Scott, as a Leeds fan?
It was, like you say, there was a lot of turnover at the start, and I think we were a little bit behind sort of yourselves and Southampton in terms of finding out the division, because we were still having to do business right until the last day, and we had the whole saga with Willie Nonto, who at the time he obviously wanted out. It seems like he was getting advice from his agent to push for a move. Obviously, the club dug their heels in, so there was a lot going on following relegation with players moving out, all these clauses in the contract, so we couldn't really actually sell them for money. They were all going on loans, which was massively frustrating for the fan base, and I think for Farke as well. He was getting a bit upset with it. So, but as the season's gone on, you know, we've started to really build. Obviously, in the last few weeks, we were doing all right. We were sort of plodding along, but we were nowhere near the pace of yourselves and obviously Ipswich, who had a blistering start. They were just taking that momentum from coming up from League One and absolutely running with it. But we were doing all right. We were keeping in touch, but we obviously our home form's been fantastic. You know, we've not lost at home. It's been a bit of a fortress for us, but we lost some dodgy away games. You know, in the run up to Christmas and around Christmas especially. You know, we lost 1-0 away at Stoke. Bamford missed a penalty. Then, you know, Sod's Law as fans, you think they're going to go up the other end and score, and they did.
Yeah,
we lost 1-0. Poor performance at Sunderland away. We didn't really deserve anything from that. They beat us 1-0, and then we beat Ipswich 4-0 just before Christmas. So we were riding high on that. But then we followed that up with back-to-back defeats. We lost against Preston away, and then we lost at West Brom just after that 1-0 as well. We both were disappointing performances as well, and I think in any normal season, you know, the things would have been fine. We'd have accepted that because we'd have been a lot closer to the top 2. But because of how well, you know, yourselves and Ipswich had done, it sort of heightened those defeats, and people were getting a bit nervous and a bit tetchy. But since then, you know, we've gone from strength to strength. You know, eight wins in the spin on the Championship, and it's put us in a great position, and I feel like, you know, confidence is starting to get strong within the team, definitely, and I think the fans are starting to believe as well that we can get, you know, in the auto spots. You know, it's at that stage now where you're constantly checking your phone for the other results and what's going on in the other games, and then looking at it last night, the other night, I thought Rotherham had done us a massive favour, drawing level with Ipswich in injury time, and then Ipswich go up the other end and bang one in. So they're still in it as well. So
yeah, Southampton are still there and abouts, aren't they, at the minute as well, despite their defeat to Hull. Leeds unbeaten at home all season, unbeaten in 2024, not lost a game, unbeaten in 8, Leeds United. And talk to me about Somerville. 15 goals, 8 assists for the left winger. How good has Somerville been this season, and how key of a part of the squad has he been in the success you've had?
Yeah, he's absolutely massive, Jack. I mean, his numbers are telling the story there. To get 15 goals and that many assists, he's been unbelievable. He can turn a game. You know, if it's a scrappy game, he's that one who can maybe pull that bit of magic off. And there's a couple who can, but he's definitely one of them who can produce a moment out of nowhere. And his finishing's been improved massively as well. If he plays well, then Leeds tend to play well a lot of the time. You know, if he's having an off day, you know, there's others that can step up. We have got that strength in depth, but you do notice it if he's having an off day because, you know, he's really good with the ball and he's got that direct speed. He's tricky, but he gets into gaps as well. He can come in off the wing centrally and he'll find himself in the penalty area to stick a chance away. So, yeah, he's really stepped up to the mark, especially since, you know, as we've touched on, the whole Willie Gnonto situation. We thought he was a key player for us, and he is starting to be. You know, he's come into the side, Gnonto, and he's starting to do well. But while he's sort of been finding his form and finding his way back into favour with Farker and the fans, Somerville's really stepped up and he's produced the goods. You know, he's been fantastic for us. There's a couple who are contending, but he's definitely up there for our player of the year so far, 100%.
Touching on key players as well as Somerville, then you look at your likes of Dan James. You've got Jorginho Rutter, who's been good as well. Then you've got the two strikers, haven't you? Bamford and Pirro. Between them, they have scored goals. What's been your thoughts on the four that I've just mentioned?
Yeah, Rutter, again, he came for big money last January. But he was a bit raw then. He wasn't ready for the Premier League at the time. He wasn't the guy we needed. Obviously, when you're in a relegation battle in the Prem, we needed goals instantly, and it wasn't his time. And I think he caught a bit of flack, and it wasn't his fault. You know, we signed him; he wasn't the right player. But since then, he's really enjoyed his football this season. He's that player. He plays with a smile on his face. He's a character behind the scenes in the dressing room as well. And the fans really love him, and yeah, he's really come out of his shell this year, and he's really strong. He's quick. He's got a great turn of pace, and again, he can dribble and drive with the ball. If he could finish, he probably wouldn't be playing for us. He probably would be a Premier League player, but his finishing at the minute is probably what lets him down. Compared to the other guys, his goals ratio is less, but he has contributed a lot of assists. Dan James, you touched on him there. Everyone was sort of wondering what would happen this year with Dan James because he's been around for a few years, but he was away on loan pretty much all last season at Fulham. So it was kind of a case of, right, what's going to happen with James? Is he going to come back into the fold? And he's absolutely took his chance at this level. He's been fantastic. His pace is a real problem for anybody. He is absolutely rapid. If you're getting a one-on-one chasing a ball, you don't want him coming down your neck basically because he's that fast and you know he can put you in a lot of trouble. So again, he's chipped in. I think he's got 10 goals I think this season. And then you've got the strikers. Yeah, Pirro. We were crying out for a striker to be signed in the summer.
Yeah.
You know, Bamford's been here for a good few years and has been a good servant, but it's sort of been a funny relationship with Bamford and the Leeds fans. That again has been up and down. You know, he does get some stick, he misses some chances sometimes, but what you do find with Bamford is he does help us play in a certain way. What we were finding with Pirro up front sometimes is when teams were sitting back in a low block, we weren't able to sort of get through their lines and pass it through them. Bamford, since the new year, since he's been fit again properly, he's come back into the team and he's given us that different option. So when the low block's in place, he can really hold it up and bring the midfield into the game. And if we're not getting him behind, we can swing across him and he's got head on him. Do you know what I mean? He can stick a header in the back of the net. And, you know, he's got that touch of brilliance about him. We all seen that goal against Peterborough. We didn't really know where that came from, off the chest and on the volley. Unbelievable scenes, but yeah, he's got that in the locker. So yeah, those players that you mentioned, they're the guys that we need to look to get into the game tomorrow against you guys if we're going to have some success, and we need to be trying to get on the front foot, I think, and get them involved as much as we can.
Scott, what's your thoughts on Leicester? How do you think Leicester's done this season in the league, being an opposition fan?
Yeah, looking from the outside, I mean, it's been frustrating how consistently good Leicester have been in terms of just getting the results. There was always that hope earlier on in the season that, much with the same with Ipswich, that surely they're going to have a dip in form somewhere and lose a few games, but it's not really happened. So you've got to give absolute credit to Leicester and how they've done so far in terms of just, I suppose, being dominant at the top. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I think Ipswich have probably got close to you a couple of times, but each time they have, you seem to have just pulled away again, and made it really comfortable for yourselves and took the pressure off yourselves with your performances. So yeah, Leicester are great. I mean, a lot of the time you're looking at the fixtures, and straight away you were thinking, well, Leicester are going to win that. Leicester are going to win that. They've been that good and that consistent. And obviously, seeing them at the game at the King Power, which I thought was a really good game. I know we'll get on to that a bit later on. It was a really good game for a 1-0. You had your chances as well, but you can see that attacking threat in your side. So as much as we're confident, and with the home record and everything, we've got to respect Leicester as well, because we know that if we're not on our best game, then you guys are going to punish us, to be honest. So yeah, we need to be on it.
Yeah, for sure. Let's get on to Leeds versus Leicester. Top of the table clash, a huge game. Second versus first. What a Friday night game this one is, Scott. A win for Leicester would take them 12 points ahead of Leeds United. A draw between the two sides would keep that 9-point gap. But if Leeds beat Leicester, it's 6 points. I mean, this one, it's a tough game, isn't it? Leeds being unbeaten and on the run that they are, it's always going to be a tough place to go, Elland Road, for any team. Leicester, though, will have to go and play their football and really go and frustrate Leeds, I think, in the game, to be honest. I think we've just got to go and give it our best performance. We've got to go and turn up. We obviously know of the threat of Somerville and Rutter and that, I think we've just got to deal with them sorts of guys, which is obviously not going to be easy. But, it's two good teams going at it. Two have decided to have been really good in the Championship this season for me. I mean, what's your thoughts on the game itself? We'll do team selection and that later on, but what's your thoughts ahead of this one?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I want to see sort of how Leicester's set up and to come against it, because we'll want to be, as the home team, on the front foot. The crowd will be up for it, so we'll sort of be expecting us to sort of take the game to you guys. And it's where I want to see. I was listening to some of the comments from your gaffer today. Is he ready? Like you say, that word might be to frustrate us, sit in and hit us on the counter attack. Potentially, so I'll be interested to see how he goes for it.
Leeds obviously favourites as well going into the game. Leicester underdogs. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think the home record probably just edges it for us in terms of the bookmakers. If we're at home with the eight wins in a row that we're on in the league, I can understand why they've put us as favourites, but I can't see us being clear favourites. I think it's going to be a tight one. I think it's going to be, there'll be a nervy tension, I think, to the game. It's one of them. You just hope a mistake could settle it. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those things. But I think, we'll be going at it. I think we'll try and get the crowd on side. Well, the crowd will be on side anyway, but we'll try and get the crowd going even more. If we can get an early goal, great. What obviously we don't want is for you guys to get an early goal and try and flatten the atmosphere a little bit. We want to try and keep that going as long as possible. Keep the noise coming. But I think the key is, in the end, which attack will show that little bit of quality to maybe win the game, and whose defence can cope best with the attack as well. Obviously, you've got some danger down the wings, haven't you?
Mavadini, Fatawu,
yeah. So you've got some dangerous players out there. I think was it Mavadini who struck the bar post in the first game?
Fatawu hit the crossbar.
Was it Fatawu? Yeah, rasped it.
I thought it was going to go in, to be honest, but then I just thought when it hit the crossbar, I thought, I know, what a chance.
Yeah, I mean, for that split second, your brain just says goal. Do you know what I mean?
Meslier was beaten, wasn't he? Let's be honest.
Yeah, he was rooted. It's one of them where you think it's in, and you breathe that sigh of relief when it hits the woodwork. But yeah, it's. I think our fullbacks are going to be important against the threat that you've got out wide. We've had Junior Firpo's come into the team. It'll be a big test for him defensively.
Yeah.
Attacking wise, he's been excellent. He's come up with 4 or 5 key assists going forward, so he's a really good threat attack wise. But he'll need that support from our wingers as well, getting back in to help him out. As defensively, that's where sometimes he can be let himself down at times. Archie Gray's our other right back. He's on the right hand side. He's been absolutely brilliant this season as a 17-year-old lad coming into the team. Yeah, for those who don't know, well, you might know the Gray name. Obviously, his great uncle's Eddie Gray. His dad's Andy Gray. So he comes from a massive footballing background, and the composure on that kid is just unbelievable. He just doesn't get phased. The only time he's really struggled this season is when wingers have been able to get a run at him, and they've got that extra pace. But inside tight spaces, is really good, and he doesn't get flustered. He'll pick a pass. He doesn't panic. So yeah, he's fantastic. So yeah, I think the wide men for us, it may well be Nonto starting again, as James has just come back from an injury. He was on the bench last week against Plymouth. Nonto and Somerville are going to be key, as I think your wingers are.
Didn't know it was Andy's lad. Yeah. There's something you didn't know.
That's it.
Probably the game of the championship for this time of the season. Yeah, this one's some great attack on show, isn't it? In between, this is where the neutrals will really take an eye on the game. Leicester, they're going to obviously look for that reaction on the score after that defeat to Middlesbrough. Leicester have got to go and be clinical in front of Leeds and take our chances. Like I say, Enzo, I think in his press conference with the comments he used, I think it's just to take the pressure off the players more than anything, which I think you have to in big games, don't you? So the players can go out without any pressure. That's something like I remember when Nigel Pearson was at Leicester, he used to take the pressure off the players and put the pressure on him in it. Do you know what I mean? And I remember Andy Gray when he was at Everton. Yeah, it's interesting. It's going to be a very good spectacle, isn't it, Scott, between the two top sides in the league?
It is, yeah. And I mean, his comments, you're right. He's taking the pressure off you guys after, a couple of results that obviously haven't gone your way. Obviously, the Middlesbrough game at the weekend. He'll know what it is. It's a big game for both sides. Obviously, he said it's a big game for us, and it absolutely is, because first and foremost, we've got to keep that pressure up on second. We obviously play first. We can lay a gauntlet down to Southampton and Ipswich if we beat you guys on Friday night and say, look, we've just beat the top team in the division. You need to do it again now, following us. But then at the same time, Enzo knows if we win and it goes down to 6 points, does that start building a bit of pressure at your end a little bit? And do the nerves start kicking in that it's getting tight, because we're getting into that sort of running spell now. Before we know it, we'll be into single figure games, which is crazy to say.
The season's gone too fast, hasn't it? We're now into the nitty gritty start of the championship season now, where teams are really up their game.
Yeah, that's it now. Every game, when you're at the top or the bottom or challenging for playoffs, every game means something now. I think we've dealt well with it, because for a while now we've sort of had that what we call scoreboard pressure, that we know Ipswich are above us and are away from us, and we've sort of had to know we've had to win to keep in touch with them. Even drawing a game and dropping points has felt like almost as a loss, or a point that's it's no good. I think in the championship you've got to grind those wins out. I think it's the draws that'll kill you. If you can keep grinding out as many wins, that's the vital thing in this league. So yeah, it's one of them. He's probably playing it well in terms of taking the pressure off your guys, but it's a chance for us, if we can win, to maybe put a bit of pressure on you guys and say, look, we're getting close now, and it's still a 6 point gap at the end of the day, so it's still a lot to claw back. But obviously, it might just put a little bit of pressure on and put a little bit of nerves amongst the Leicester fans, maybe.
Yeah, let's have a look at these stats head to head. Second versus first, played 33 and won 21, 25 for Leicester, 6 draws for Leeds, 3 for Leicester, 6-5 in defeats. Championship head to head at Elland Road. 2 wins for you lot and 5 wins for Leicester in the championship. That's an interesting stat I didn't know until today. Last time out then, Jorginho Rutter grabbing 3 points for Leeds United at the King Power Stadium, Scott. What was your thoughts on that game overall? To be honest, it was a game of chances for both sides, but I think Leeds were the side who were more clinical.
Yeah, that's it. We took the chance when it came. You know, it wasn't the prettiest goal from a corner, header, save, and then Rutter reacted first and stuck it in. So again, it was a real game. I thought, you know, we played really well at that time. We were quite a way behind you guys, so we had to sort of almost put a marker down and say, look, yeah, we can compete with the top 2, and it gave our fans a lot of confidence the way we actually did play that day, because obviously it started so well, and I think we did well to nullify you as much as we could. Good comment, yeah. Leeds keeper, man of the match. He made a great
save by Dewsbury header
right at the death. Yeah, he clawed it out. It was going top bins. I don't know how. I mean, he's got long limbs, Melier, but blood me neck, he clawed it out the top corner. That was an absolute game saver. Was that one? I think when it started, our press was really good. We got a couple of early chances. One fell to Pirro, and you know, with Pirro, and I probably expected him to take one of those as he
fluffed his lines.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he's normally clinical in the box if he gets a chance on his left peg, but I think from memory, he took a little bit too long, maybe an extra touch, and yeah, he didn't put it away. But again, it was for a 1-0. It was a high quality game. You know, you could see that the quality was there in both sides. And yeah, we got a little bit of luck with the woodwork, the save from Melier, but it was a good performance. It was, you know, you'd probably say it was a great 1-0 away win. You know, to go there as an away team with how you guys had started and come away with a win like that, it gave us a lot of confidence. And from then, we sort of then started to believe in this team and think that we could, you know, do something in this league, and actually we could compete. Because up to then, we probably weren't sure, because we'd been a little bit hit and miss, and we'd thrown some points away. But that went some way to convincing us that, you know, we could compete and we could hopefully challenge for top 2.
Yep. Let's have a look at the last 5 results at Elland Road. A 1-1 draw, 2023. Jamie Vardy got the goal for the Foxes to level things. I think Sinistera scored for Leeds, I believe.
I think he did.
I believe that was the game that Patrick Bamford missed that sitter, Scott. One probably you want to forget.
Yeah, right at the end there, he scuffed it wide from about 3 yards, didn't he? Yeah.
Shocking. November 2021 was Harvey Barnes against Leeds, I believe. A 4-1 win for the Foxes. I believe that was COVID season in 2020. A 1-0 win for the Foxes, January 2014. David Nugent on the score sheet. And then Leeds United beat us in 2012. I believe it. It's mad how you can just pick up results, and it's good to have a look how the results have been in the last times that they've met. And you know, last time out in the championship, then Scott, I was at the game 2014. David Nugent scored the winner. I believe Anchorgram was in goal for you at that point, if I'm correctly. I believe it were a game that Leeds dominated. I remember you liked to double up on Lloyd Dyer in that game.
Lloyd Dyer, yeah.
But then, Nugent took the chance that Leicester got, which was a golden opportunity, and we ended up going away 1-0 winners away from home.
Nugent, he was just one of them players. He used to score against us back in those days. Obviously, he started off at Preston, didn't he? And he always used to back us seemingly. So it was a little bit of a thorn in our side at that point. Those years were a bit of a blur because we weren't great for a lot of that period. So we had the promotion from League One in 2010, and then we sort of just meandered around the we flirted with the playoffs one season, and for the first season up, I think it was. But then after that, we were sort of finishing 14th, 15th every season. Yeah, you'd get to pre-season, the hope would kick in, and then it'd be the same old, and not showing much ambition. And the ownership for a good few years was an absolute state. So yeah, they weren't the best of years at that time. We had some really poor squads overall. When you look back at it now, and you think the squad that we've got now, and you look back at some of the old squads, you think, wow, we actually had those those guys playing for us in our 11. So they weren't the best days, but I suppose they make you stronger when it's those tough times, and then you can come through it and have some good times.
Yeah, fully agree. Scott, I'm gonna ask you a question now. What's your most memorable Leeds and Leicester game?
The most memorable Leeds and Leicester game, there was one from this is a good few years ago, back when we were in the Premier League in the early 2000s. I think we had a crucial game at that point. I can't remember. I just remember Viduka maybe scoring a goal against you. I think there was one from way back in the day. This was a good one. We beat you 6-0 in the League Cup. I think Robbie Keane scored a couple and wheeled away with his cartwheel celebration. That was when we were, probably one of the best teams in the country at the time. You guys were still at the old Filbert Street.
Yeah.
Which I was gutted. I never got to go to Filbert Street. I've been to the King Power quite a few times, but yeah, I never got to go to Filbert Street. So that's a bit of a shame on that one. And I remember a few years ago, it was in those seasons that we weren't very good. But I remember, I think it was might have been Adam Clayton absolutely pinged one in the top corner from miles out, and I think we won 1-0 that day. So that was a good one. That was a good day at the King Power. I was there for that one. But to be fair, I've been to the King Power a lot, and we've had a lot of bad defeats as well. I remember one back in the Premier League when, I don't know if you remember, a player called Rocker Jr. who had just signed for us. And I can't remember who was up front for you, but you gave him an absolute torrid time. And he came off with his shirt was ripped in bits. We lost 4-0. He got absolutely demolished. So he was a Brazilian World Cup winner, but I don't think what had hit him that night. It was like, welcome to England, mate. This is how you get in it here. So,
I believe them days when they had bloody fan zone and that around, if you remember that.
Yeah.
Lillian, I remember the game at the King Power when Lillian Nally scored that cracker.
Oh yeah. I can vaguely remember that one. I remember, were we both in League One, and I think you guys won the league.
Steve Howard's big header.
Yeah, that's it.
That's my most memorable game. That one, the League One when Steve Howard piled home a header, and what a giant header from the big man. I mean, what an important goal it was for Leicester against Leeds. I believe that was the time when there was talking about Fabian Delphin at the time. I think Fabian Delphin on some good form for Leeds going into that game, and I think he had a few chances in the game. I think that's when you had like Robinson and Ankra in goal, and you had a few good players, and it were two good sides going at it in League One.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I suppose it was then. It was probably the two best teams in League One, I suppose, at the time. We had some good players, but again, at that point, I remember that day. Was that close to you guys? Was that winning the league for you guys, or something, or close to? Something like that.
Yeah, close to. I think we had to look at I think it was like MK Dons and that, wasn't it? At the time, we were competing with us for the title and that. And then you obviously had the Muzzy, as it won at Elland Road. I think that was the season we both went down, wasn't it? Season. I think that was a draw. Was it a 2-2 draw, was it?
Yeah, it might have been.
A 2-2 draw, yeah.
That rings a bell.
Let's have a look at foot in both camps. You might know some of these, you might not. Of course you're gonna know the main man for you lot, which is Jermaine Beckford, a legend for you guys who scored that important FA Cup goal at Manchester United at Old Trafford. What was your thoughts on Beckford? I mean, when he was at Leicester, he was the FA Cup man, innit? The man who loved a goal in the FA Cup. And I remember the game against Forest. He could have had 4 if it weren't for, I think it was Boateng's own goal. But he ended up with a hat-trick anyway. So, yeah, Beckford, I don't know. I think it was his attitude at Leicester, to be honest. Coming in from Everton, when we got him in, I just don't think it worked out for him at Leicester, to be honest. I think when you've got a manager like Nigel Pearson, then you've got that sort of attitude. And, Nigel Pearson's like, he'll lay down the law, innit? You know what I mean? You don't act that certain way at this football club.
Yeah, you don't. I don't think you mess with Nigel Pearson, do you, to be fair?
No.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts on Beckford at Leeds? Obviously, he had that big link-up, didn't he, with Becchio?
Yeah, I mean, Beckford, it was fantastic for us. In those League One days, it was a bit of like I say, there were fun times, but they were grim as well. It was sort of bittersweet down in League One because you could, take big allocations, and it was a bit of fun at first going to all the new grounds, but then becomes a bit of a grind, and you think we shouldn't be in League One. Do you know what I mean? You want to get out of it, but yeah, when Beckford were playing, we had goals in the team. He was absolutely great for us, and then. He scored some key goals, like you say, the big one against Man U away to win 1-0. So that sort of ingrained him in Leeds United history and folklore. That goal will never be forgotten. To go and beat them when we were in League One as well, and they were Premier League champions at the time and whatnot. But then he scored the crucial goal as well. Last day of the season, we went down to 10 men. We'd had a big lead in League One and we were choking a little bit. We had to win on the last day. Grayson, obviously we mentioned there, Grayson was his gaffer. He made him
Grayson, yeah.
Yeah, good, yeah, really good gaffer for us as well. Made him captain that day. And you know what? He led by example, and he turned up when it mattered most in the box, and he stuck it away. He had a great partnership with Becchio as well in those late League One years. Originally, it was him and a fella called Trezor Candle, who we'd never heard of before. But they had a good little link up. But yeah, when he went elsewhere, it was sort of, we understood it. He went to Everton. He got the move to the Premier League. It was one of those where you understand why he's going. We'd have loved to have kept him in the Championship. But for how his career went, he was a late sort of bloomer. He was at Wealdstone when we signed him. It was really raw. He played a couple of games, but the ball was bouncing off him. So he went on loan to Scunny, scored a load of goals, and then came back and smashed it for us in League One. So yeah, we'd have loved to have kept him, but we couldn't begrudge him. And it was sort of a bit of a running joke whenever he came back to Elland Road, because all the crowd, we'd all be chanting his name, and he always seemed to not really bother playing against us. He never seemed to be putting the effort in. And then a couple of times he got hooked and he was waving to the fans on the bench, like giving it one of them. And I can understand it didn't go down well with his own fans at the time, but yeah,
no, it won't, would it?
No, but yeah, he's loved, and he does a lot of media and stuff at Leeds now, so he's always around the club.
Simon Grayson, I mean, surely he's one of your best managers, isn't he, Simon Grayson at Leeds?
Yeah, really, really fond memories of Grayson. He did really well. He took over what was a bit of a poison chalice in League One. A couple of managers had tried and failed at it. Former players, Gary McAllister tried, didn't work out for him. Grayson came in, and to be fair, he got us playing a really good brand of football. Fast wingers, goals. And he did the same when he took us up into the Championship. Like I touched on earlier, that first season, we had a really good year. We were touching the playoffs. He wanted Bates. Ken Bates at the time was the chairman, which was a nightmare, but that's a whole different story for Leeds. But yeah, he wanted a couple of players. He didn't quite get the backing that he needed, and then we didn't quite make the playoffs that year. And then the following year, although we were in a fairly decent position, I think in and around the edge of the playoffs, I think something wasn't quite right behind the scenes with him and the chairman, and he ended up with the sack. But again, he's massively well thought of. Obviously, played for Leeds in the early 90s as well. So yeah, really good connection with Leeds, and he's another fellow he's always welcome at Elland Road, and it's always nice to see him when he turns up and whether it's in the programme or on LUTV or at the ground himself. Yeah, he'll always be remembered fondly for getting us that promotion, just like Bex did.
Yeah, I don't know if you obviously won't remember Alan Clark, will you?
Yeah, I mean, Clark is one of the greats. Obviously, he's the scorer of our only FA Cup win. He scored the diving header against Arsenal in '72.
Yep.
The Clark 1-0 was the commentator at the time, as he said. So that's a bit of historic commentary from a Leeds perspective. And he managed the club in the '80s as well. He had a bit of a stint while we were in the doldrums a little bit. But again, he's really well thought of. He's still around the club doing hospitality and stuff and speaking on a match day. So he's one of the legends of the '70s team that are still around. We sadly lost a few during COVID times. Norman Hunter, Lorimer, and a few others. So yeah, it's good to have these legends like Clark and Gray still around the club, and it's nice to see them when they get together as well.
I believe when Leicester got Alan Clark, it was for a transfer record. I think it was 150 grand. I think it was the transfer record. 1968, I think it was. Alan Clark, way before my time. My dad would probably remember him more than I do. Obviously, with my dad being born in that sort of era of football and that. Jeff Horsfield.
Jeff Horsfield. Short and sweet stint, I think, at Leeds. I think it was. I can't remember a lot really of Jeff. I know he was playing when we were in a struggling team, so I don't think he could make much impact.
Big up, Chris.
Cheers, pal. Yeah, I don't think he could make much impact for us. I do feel like he played in a struggling team. I know he did very well. Elsewhere, Jeff Horsfield, didn't he? He was very much would you call him an old school number 9 where he'd hold up, dig in and make it difficult for defenders?
He's like your Frank Worthingtons, isn't he? Frank Worthington. Yeah. I think Dom Revie played for both clubs, didn't he? He's another one who goes down well at Leeds, Dom Revie.
Yeah, I mean Revie's he'll go down as our greatest ever manager. He was fantastic when he took over the team in 65. Leeds were not doing much, got us up into the first division, and then for the next 10 years or so, you could probably say Don Revie's Leeds were probably the best team or one of the best couple of teams in the country. Should have won a lot more, really. They'd lost a lot of finals, fell short in the league a couple of times, but yeah, that is always remembered as the golden era of Leeds, that Don Revie period, and that's why we've got the Don Revie stand behind the goal. So he'll always be remembered at Leeds, and yeah, absolute legend.
The last one I was going to touch on was Paul Dickoff. I believe he didn't really play many games for you. I think you had him on the back end of his career. I think he played about 4 games on loan. Paul Dickoff.
Yeah, again, it's one of them. He was a loan signing. I can't remember him playing that many games. But again, he was one of them. He wasn't the tallest, I don't think, Dickoff, was he? But he put himself about, and he used to get stuck in, didn't he?
Yeah, and it's always a fan's favourite at Leicester, Paul Dickoff, on both spells at the club. Fantastic player when we first got him in. Second was when we brought him in the second time. I think it was like the back end of his career, and I think he'd had like a disc sort of operation and that, and he weren't the same player. He was obviously more older then, innit? You know what I mean? And he did score a few, but obviously not as much as he did when he first played for Leicester the first time round.
Yeah, that's it. And the fans always resonate with that kind of player, don't they? That where they put 100% effort in. Do you know what I mean? It goes the way.
Yeah. Team selection, Scott. I mean, what's the formation in the team? Obviously, since Ampanu's gone into that back 4, I believe you've only conceded, is it 1 goal in 8 in the league? Yeah,
we've only conceded the 1 goal in this run of 8 wins, which is staggering. The back 4, like I say, at the minute, Pascal Stroik was Joe Rodon's partner in the main, but he picked up an injury. Then Ampadu, as you say, he was the man to sort of step back into the back four. Him and Joe Rodon have been absolutely brilliant together. You know, they play for Wales as well together, so they've got a really good connection. We've got quite a few Welshmen in the squad now, so there's a bit of a Welsh vibe going on at the minute. But yeah, those two have been rock solid and see they cover each other really well. Rodon's got a bit of pace about him, so he can cover in Ampadu. He's a little bit quicker than Ampadu. Haley's giving a stick there again, isn't she, mate?
Yeah, let her get the tissues out. You know, she might need of Doncaster this season, but we're not going to go into Doncaster. You know, it's a Leeds v Leicester chat. It's not Doncaster Rovers, so it's not relevant.
No, mate. We'll leave them to it down there, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Don't let her eat. Don't let her daddy you say that, Vessio.
Oh, I know.
But yeah, go on. What's your starting 11 for the Leicester game?
I think in terms of lineup, I think we'll probably stay unchanged. He doesn't like to change it much at all, Farker. If he doesn't have to, he believes in a winning team. Even though they've had quite a lot of load on recently, you know, in this game we've had quite a lot of long away trips. We've had Plymouth away twice, once in the Cup, Swansea away, Cardiff away, Bristol away. In this recent run of games, so they've had some long trips. So there was a chance that the worry was that might catch up with us at some point. But we've come through that unscathed, that away run, which is fantastic. So I think we'll go unchanged. So I think it'll be Meslier in goal, Archie Gray right back. Then you'll have Rodon and Ampadu in the middle, Firpo left back. Then in centre mid you'll have Gruev in the middle, and Ampadu dropping back into centre halves, giving Gruev there's a bit of controversy about how you pronounce his name. Some people say Gruev, some people say Groif, as in Cruyff. So, but I'm going to go Gruev for now. So we'll have Gruev in the middle. He's a really tidy player. You know, he just keeps it nice and neat and tidy. He keeps things ticking over in there. Probably Glenn Kamara, partner him in there, and then you've got on the wing you'll have Somerville on one side, probably Nonto on the other, and then you'll have Rutter in that number 10 role.
Yeah.
And then I think because Bamford's a major doubt, he was out last weekend. He might make the bench, I think, is what we're hearing. So it'd be a bonus if he does. If he does, it'd be great to have him. But I think the maximum is going to be on the bench by the sounds of it. So it'll be Pirro up top, I believe. So I think that's going to be the starting 11.
Leicester, I'll tell you what, we'll go Hermanson in goal, Ricardo, Fast, Vestergaard. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go Callum Doyle at left back for this game. Harry Winks in that centre defensive midfield role with Dewsbury and Dennis Pratt ahead of him, with Mavadidi on the left and Fatahil out right. And then we talk about the striker. I mean, do we start Jamie Vardy or do we bring him on? I mean, I think a lot of fans would, Leeds fans, they like Jamie Vardy for his shit hours we don't know, let's be honest. I'll tell you what, I think maybe we'll go with Tom Cannon to start and then Vardy will come on. But then it all depends. He might want to start Vardy and then bring someone like Daka off the bench or something like that to kind of like seeing what the result is in that. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to go Tom Cannon up front with Vardy on the bench, but I think Vardy will potentially start. Who knows? The last one, Scott, is the score prediction. What's your head and heart? This one's a tough one to call, isn't it?
It's a tough one. It is a tough one because it's like you say, it's two good teams. Leicester have been really good. They're a strong team. As I said earlier, we've got to respect Leicester and know that if we're not at it, then you know we can easily lose this game and it can get away from us. But you know, I think with the run we're on, we're full of confidence. The fans believe. Friday night under the lights, full house. It's going to be a cracking atmosphere to start with. Hopefully, we've got the momentum behind us. I think, obviously, I'm going to go Leeds to edge it. I'm going to go 2-1 Leeds.
Oh, I'll tell you what. we need a positive result out of this game and that reaction from the Middlesbrough defeat. So it's a tough game. I think it'll be a tight one between the two sides, but I think Leicester will just edge it. I'm going to go Vardy to score in the game.
You go.
I'm going to go 2-1 Leicester. I'm going to go an away win. I think it'd be a very good game between the two sides. I hate to say it, but 2-1 Leeds simply because they're at home. Yeah, Leeds are on form, aren't they, to be honest? And, I think a lot of people have took that into consideration, haven't they, who's like the neutrals and people like that. But I'm gonna back my own team. I'm gonna go 2-1 Leicester. Scott, thanks for coming on, mate. Do appreciate you coming on for the chat. All the best for the rest of the season after Friday night, pal.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, same to you. Let's see how it goes. But it's going to be a cracker, mate. And thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed the chat, mate. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Cheers, Scott.
See you later.
That was Scott, Leeds fan. A great good chat. Guys, if you've enjoyed the stream, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed already, please do so. It helps out massively. Go check out the Championship predictions, week 34, as we predict all the games for the weekend. But yeah, there'll be a match day vlog out from the Leeds versus Leicester game. Fingers crossed it's a Leicester positive result on Friday night, but it's going to be a cracker. I'll be there for the game, of course. And that is it from me then. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Have a great rest of the evening, everyone. Keep it at the final whistle. And come on, Leicester. Hi all. Thank you for watching the final whistle. If you enjoy all our content, please remember to smash a like, share and subscribe to the channel.